Well, we haven't been here in a while, but here we are. 3 weeks to go in the season, and the Chiefs are eliminated from the playoffs in the 2025 season. But, oh yeah, there's still something to play for this week, even with a mustache, Music City, and motivation. And, of course, Defending the Kingdom is brought to you, as always, by Ticketmaster. You can look ahead to what's going on in the 26th spring and summer. I don't know if you can get World Cup tickets through them or not, but you can look at the 26 Chiefs schedule.
Mahomes in the pocket, he'll step up, he'll scramble 10, 5, Mahomes, diving, touchdown, Kansas City!
Hi everyone, I'm Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs, along with senior team reporter Matt McMullen. 2014, the last time the Chiefs didn't make the playoffs, and hopefully the Chiefs can win 3 in a row here to go 9-8, because it hasn't been a losing season since 2012. But it's been quite a run. 107 wins for the Chiefs in the past 7 seasons, the most in National Football League history. And before we go on and talk about what's coming up this week, we do just need to mention what's happened and how remarkable it's been.
Yeah, it's been incredible. I think that's why the season has been so strange, because we're used to this team finding these incredible ways to win football games and to dig deep and to have fourth quarter comebacks, to have miraculous plays, and to accomplish our goals. And I think what we ran into this year is every once in a while the ball just does not bounce your way. And there's, a handful of things that were self-inflicted that created what turned out to be this season for us. But there's a whole bunch of factors that contributed to it. And, I dug up one stat. We're the first team since the 2009 Pittsburgh Steelers to lose at least 7 games by a single score and to lose no games by more than 10 points. So what that shows is how slim the margin has been all season long. We've lost 5 games by a field goal this year. So the Chiefs don't have a look of a team that's just been blown out repeatedly. It's just we've had all these close games, and what's been so odd is more often than not over the last 7-8 years, those close games go our way. And whether it be penalties or not converting on third down, allowing big third down conversions defensively, turnovers in the red zone, these little mistakes have all piled up to prevent us from winning those close games and games that we were in. We were in every game this year. But unfortunately, it adds up, and not going to the playoffs is the result of that. But as we'll talk about, I think what we can do moving forward is take advantage of the opportunity in front of us. And there is a great opportunity in front of us, because we're not talking about the run the Chiefs are on being over. We're talking about kind of a reorienting of this current situation to continue that run, right? Yeah. And we've dealt with moments like this before that we'll talk about later. This isn't the first time, but it's a matter of seizing the opportunity in front of us. But right now, it does hurt because this isn't what we expected.
No, and it's just like looking at our surface and, maybe I'll just turn it off, wait 2 seconds, and put it, it's fine. How many times have that happened to you? And so that's kind of where the Chiefs are. This is just turn off the surface and get it back on and see what we got. But let's just start with Gardner Minshew, the mustachioed one. Really interesting guy. If you look at his circuitous college career, from Mississippi junior colleges to Troy, East Carolina, then he goes to Washington State, kind of blows up, and the Minshew mustache becomes a deal. He'll start this week for the Kansas City Chiefs. This is not new territory for him. And you and I both were impressed with him when he made his debut in the National Football League, coming in relief against the Chiefs back in 2019 as a Jacksonville Jaguar, and basically lit us up. I'm glad the game's over, because if this dude has one more quarter, we're going to lose.
Who is this guy?
One of the fun facts, though, about Gardner, he's the third quarterback in NFL history, at least since 1950, because the records get kind of sketchy prior to that, to play for 5 different teams in his first 7 years in the National Football League. And he's got, when you look at what he's got for starts here, he's had 21 starts since the beginning of 2023. He's had 46 overall, 62 games and 46 starts. But he's got 9 wins in 23 and 24. He had 7 with the Colts and 2 with the Raiders. And you're going, 2 with the Raiders, 2 and 7. He beat the Ravens.
Yeah.
Gardner Minshew
in Baltimore.
In Baltimore with the Raiders beat the Ravens. The guy, when you look, 9 300-yard passing games, and I don't know how you felt when he came in. Of course, you've got to put aside the pad injury when it happens because you're still playing the game. There was not a drop of lack of confidence in Gardner Minshew. I'm thinking he's going to come in and at least get a field goal, and we're going to go to overtime. And if he has one more completion, when he hit Kelsey for the 11, I go, he's going to do this.
Yeah.
This isn't a rummy.
And that was on third down, I think.
And that was third down.
Yeah.
And he made a great play on it. This guy's decent, and he's good enough to win this game and win any game of the remaining 3. So I'm just kind of interested to see what Gardner Minshew can do. And, dude, go for it. Your 47th start, and he's done it recently. This isn't Phillip Rivers coming out of the Sunday school picnic and going, oh, man, you're playing for the Colts. He did pretty good, by the way.
Yeah.
But Minshew's done this, and he's been around, and he's started games, and he's won games.
Yeah, he has. I mean, that's what we talked about when we first signed him. It's like this is the kind of guy that you can rely on to get you through a stretch. Now, this is obviously kind of a unique circumstance with the playoffs not being possible anymore. But, when you're trying to get young and developmental players in there and get them reps, I want these guys to make winning plays. I want them to have opportunities to make plays as part of a winning effort. I think that's important. That's one of the reasons we talk about the preseason. I get that the wins and losses are irrelevant when it comes down to the standings, but when we have big wins in the preseason and it's like our third or fourth stringers in there, it might not matter on the scoreboard or in the standings, but it matters to them and their development that they were part of that situation and they can apply that later on to their career when it really matters. And that's how I feel about this moment right now. I would love for our guys, our young players, to be in situations where they have to make winning plays. And I think Gardner can put our guys in that position. It's also a great opportunity for him individually speaking, because the reality is with the Mahomes injury, we're not going to have a functional Mahomes during the offseason training program. And Minshew's on a 1-year deal. So this is an opportunity for him to kind of audition for that role of being our guy during the offseason, right? And let's see how he handles it.
And not only that, to be a really good on-deck guy. You talk about the preseason, and you and I know the value of it. We haven't won a preseason game for 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And people go, it doesn't count, but it matters. But what does the preseason show you if you go 0 for is, at the very least, is what you mentioned. You want guys to feel getting on a plane or leaving the parking lot after a preseason game with a win. You don't want to shoot blanks. And we've done it 2 years in a row, and I don't think it's been helpful. I just don't. Now, we got to talk about the Titans here a little bit. And by the way, Gardner Minshew is 4-2 against the Titans in his career.
A lot of AFC South games for him.
Oh yeah, he started with the Jaguars. He might look at them and go, well, maybe I'll sign with these guys because he'll play for all 4 AFC South teams at some point, maybe. But he had a 3-12 on them and beat them. So he swept them when he was the Colts quarterback. So he's seen the Titans before. He's been to Nashville before. He's seen Jeffrey Simmons before. So he's like, let's go. So I'm excited about Gardner Minshew in this game. Let him rip, and he'll get to the ball to guys on time. He throws timing routes. He's got an understanding, a quick release. He's athletic. So, yeah, that's what we got. Yeah. Now, we'll quickly talk about the Titans here. And Simmons is a stud.
Yeah.
Leads the NFL of being interior defensive lineman in both sacks and in tackles for losses. But he's the guy that's kind of the lead guy of this Titan defense.
Always been a thorn in our side.
Always.
Was it the 2022 season when we beat them at home? It was overtime. They had Malik Willis at quarterback.
Yes.
And Mike Vrabel, I mean, we're seeing it now with the Patriots. He was so good at getting the absolute most out of that Titans team. Obviously we saw him in 2019 in the AFC Championship game. That team was really good. But the team in 2022 was not very good, and they found a way to just kind of make it like a rock fight against us. And Jeffrey Simmons was right in the middle of it. I feel like that guy's been there forever. Doesn't really get talked about, but he should. I mean, he's one of the best defensive tackles in football. And again, if you're listening to this, I understand that in the standings, this game isn't super crucial, obviously, right? We're not breaking it down, looking at the Titans hey, here's their weaknesses, here's their strengths. But why does this matter talking about Jeffrey Simmons? Well, because our offensive line, Esapole, who's probably going to be playing in this game, if he has an opportunity against a player of Jeffrey Simmons' caliber or whoever they might have out there on the edge, that's great experience for him that he can then use moving forward. And kind of a a situation that was very recent that is similar to this. Think about Week 18 last year with Kingsley Suamataia against Zach Allen. So that Week 18 game, sure, it didn't matter in the standings, didn't matter to us at all in terms of our playoff seeding. So we had all these young guys out there like Kingsley, and his first time ever at guard, he goes in there and he's facing a Broncos team that has to win, that's playing to win. What amazing experience that was for him. And he credited that all offseason and this year when he's been really solid for us, playing over 900 snaps at guard. He said that game in Week 18 is what gave me the confidence to approach the offseason and to know that I can do this. And it's a matter of just kind of getting better every single day. You can't put a price on that. And I think we're going to have a chance over the next 3 weeks, beginning with this game against Tennessee, to put these players in those positions, and they can gain confidence in their ability. They can figure out areas they want to work on moving forward, and they can attack the offseason training program, and our team will be better because of it. So this stinks right now. This is a huge bummer. We don't want to be talking about this. Yeah. We want to be talking about how we can beat the Titans and getting to the playoffs. But how do you approach it? How can you use this time now to be better in 2026? Because you can. And in my mind, the march to 2026 begins right now.
Yeah, well, and you're going to play against Cam Ward, who's had his best 2 weeks the last 2 weeks. Was not sacked last week. He's been sacked 49 times, tied with Justin Herbert and Geno Smith as the most. And then Tony Pollard's really good, and he's busted a hundo the last 2 weeks. He had 3,100 yards in those last 3 years in Dallas. Like he's a player. So that's to your point. But let's dive in now before we get to Ari. 6 guys that you and I wanted to talk about because this is going to bring your point home.
Yeah.
And I'll start with Essa. Okay, let's just put the guy, again, just to review, did not play high school football at all. Growing up in Hayward, California, he was a basketball player. He played AAU basketball. He was thinking maybe Division II basketball at Cal State Hayward or Cal State LA, but he told me he didn't want to go to LA. He wanted to stay in NoCal. But then he goes, okay, I guess I'll play junior college football and at Chabot. And he had people that got him on the team there, and he did okay, got enough tape for Washington State to take him. He only played 22 games at Washington State, but when you look at it, in the 22 games there last year, we talked about this when we had him as a free agent. He was second in FBS with an 86.7 pass block grade from Pro Football Focus. And then you saw what he did against Danielle Hunter, a 12% pressure rate. What? He got thrown the deep end of the pool with Piranha, and he took harpoons with him. I mean, I'm really, really kind of excited. And then, the next week he's got to play against, a threesome that includes Odefe Owe, Tuli Tuipulotu, and Khalil Mack. All right, and here's Jeffrey Simmons. I mean, and then here comes Denver, right, with those cats. So this is going to be a real world test for Esapole, but I'm excited because going into 26, we're all kind of wondering what's tackle going to be like.
Yeah.
Juwan Taylor's headed to free agency. Jalen Moore's been a swing guy. Can he be what? Or where's Essa fit in this? Because the Chiefs Kingdom wasn't thinking about Esapole, but they might start thinking about him now.
Yeah, this might end up being one of those things where way down the line, if Essa develops into what we all of a sudden think he might be able to develop into, like this time, as difficult as it's been with all the injuries, could turn into a crazy blessing, right? Where who knows if Essa gets that opportunity to go out there and play against players of this caliber and show what he can do if it wasn't a necessity. Well, he's had that opportunity. Now it's a matter of keeping it going. But if he can finish this season strong, gets back to my point about Kingsley, that he's going to go into the offseason training program with a ton of confidence, and the coaches will have confidence in him to say, hey, we have like a ball of clay here. We can make this guy better and better, and we have something to work with. So I'm with you on Essa.
And he was a shoe retailer. He was going to be a computer engineer, and he goes, I just didn't like writing code so much. And then he goes, I'll sell shoes. I go, did you make bank selling shoes? He goes, no. Pretty much I didn't.
Maybe I'll try pro football. I don't know. Yeah. Let's go. I had a similar thought process when I was going.
If he hits, when he hits, you'll see all of these stories start to come alive with him. But, all right, he's, to me, at the top of the list from here on in this season. Hope he stays healthy and go get him against Jeffrey Simmons and the others on the Titans. What do you have?
Yeah, how about Ashton Gelati? So this one is pretty obvious, I think, just because I think Ashton's been ascending. He had his best game of the season in terms of pressures against Houston, 5 pressures in that game. And then last week against the Chargers, filled the stat sheet. I mean, the interception was a great play because it demonstrated him dropping into coverage as part of a corner blitz. I think it was Mike Edwards came off the edge. He drops into coverage. The pressure gets home. He's right there to make the play. And then a sack on Justin Herbert later in the game, too, where it was one of those classic plays. Herbert likes doing this, where he faked the quick throw. It was third down, and then he was going to run forward like a quarterback draw. He's done that before. And it takes great discipline if you're a defensive end not to fall for the fake. And he didn't. He was right there, made the play. Herbert's a big guy with good speed, and Ashton wasn't fooled at all and wrapped up and made that play. A big moment in the game that put us in a position to hopefully win it. So Ashton's an ascending player that's been making plays over the second half of the year, and let's see him continue that here over the final 3 games to once again approach the offseason training program with a bunch of confidence. And next year, maybe we're talking about Ashton as one of our starting defensive ends if he can really take advantage of his opportunity.
The next guy is Noah Williams to me. Can we talk about Noah Williams? Because Noah Williams, listen to this. He's played 283 defensive snaps. That's only 20% of the snaps. Mm-hmm. He has 5 passes defensed, and that is behind only Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson. And Jalen Watson's played 97% of the snaps, and Trent McDuffie's played 90% of the snaps. And Noel has played 20% of the defensive snaps and has almost the same amount of passes defensed.
Wow.
And people say, well, there's been some penalties. And then you look at special teams. He's played 237 special team snaps, and he's second on the team behind Cooper McDonald with 11 special teams tackles. In fact, he leads the team with 8 solo special teams tackles. It tells you about him being physical. It tells you he did have 3. He's got 3 defensive holds, but that's part of his physical nature, and one of those is the bogus one against Nico Collins, which was not a hold. He slipped, okay?
Also changed the game.
So
yep.
I love that you said Ashton Gelati, because I'm also what's happening the next 3 weeks. Esapole, Ashton Gelati. But Noel Williams might be a real big key to the 2026 season.
I love that Noel is fearless and kind of reminds me of L'Jarius Sneed in that way, where, yeah, the holding penalties, you don't want that. You don't want the flags. But what it shows me is that he is physical and nothing is going to come easy. And you can refine the technique a little bit to prevent maybe getting a flag, but the mentality is there. You don't want to lose the mentality, and that's one of the things I like a lot about him. He's going to make a lot of plays for us moving forward, and I'm with you. He's had at least 60 defensive snaps in back-to-back weeks now. Let's keep building on that and, again, attack the offseason training program with a bunch of confidence.
And Trey Harris had the corner route on him for 37 yards on the drive at the end of the half, the touchdown. But it was really an incredible throw by Herbert. That might be one of his better throws of the season because that thing was pinpoint. It wasn't like, oh, Noel got beat on a double move. So I just think that he's got a chance to be good.
Also not totally sure that was a catch, but I digress.
That keeps you up at night, right?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Okay.
Brashard Smith is a guy that I'm looking forward to watching play over the final 3 weeks. I think we've seen like flashes from Brashard this year, but particularly now when you don't have anything to lose going out in these games, and that is like a benefit. Like, we have nothing to lose. Just go out there and let's see what these guys can do. And Brashard is one of those where I'm curious to see all the different ways he can impact the offense. And I think, again, we've seen like little spurts of it, but how can we use him in a few dynamic different ways to make some big plays? And maybe you can use the tape from this year over the final 3 weeks with him getting maybe an increased workload. You can use that in your scheme eval during the offseason. So I'm excited about Brashard. I think he's made some big plays for us this year, and I think the ceiling is super high for him. And I think we're only scratching the surface with what he can do. So Brashard's a guy I'm looking forward to watching over the final 3 weeks.
And a big piece of 2026 will be out of that room, whomever's going to be there, that we see every week in the NFL, a play designed to get 6 or 8 yards that gets 16 or 18 because of the talent of that player. And so that right now, that's a big key. As close as the NFL has been this year, all these tight games, if you look at the teams, they have kind of that guy, a guy that will make a play that's not necessarily their scheme to be a big play. So that'll be something on the to look at as far as the looking into 2026. And I'll give you the next one, and then I'll close out with mine.
Yeah, this is one that I'm kind of fired up about, and there's more of a backstory to it, but it's Kevin Knowles. So Kevin is kind of a deep cut if you're watching these Chiefs games. He's not playing a ton, but lately he's been kind of like a special teams ace for us. Great play on special teams last week against the Chargers, where he was like a brick wall against the Chargers return man. He's been kind of making smaller plays on special teams this year, but that was kind of like an exclamation point on his season. But then also played 29 defensive snaps last week just because all of these injuries that we've had. We had at one point no Trent McDuffie and no Jalen Watson in the game, so it was Kevin Knowles and Noel Williams out there. And Knowles made some plays. He made a pass breakup on third down. Really nice play where he punched the ball out right at the catch point. I mean, great play. It was a perfect throw by Herbert, and the ball was right there, and Knowles had sticky coverage and made the play defensively. So he showed me some things. And, it goes back to training camp. I asked someone on the staff, I don't know if I should reveal them or not. I don't know if that's allowed. But I asked someone on the staff, who's an undrafted free agent that's really impressed you? And they were like, immediately, Kevin Knowles. And it's interesting because I don't think Knowles had a lot of buzz early in training camp. I mean, there's so many corners. It's kind of difficult to establish yourself unless you're like making interceptions in practice. And that doesn't always tell the full story. But he said, I love his mindset. And I love his attitude. I love kind of how he approaches this thing because in the era of like NIL and transfer rules in college, the reality is a lot of players come in with like kind of like a certain entitlement. And Knowles didn't have any of that. He just showed up like excited, ready to work, like ready to be coached. And I kind of wrote down his name and said, all right, I'm going to watch this guy. And it's so cool to see in a essentially a playoff game against the Chargers late in the year, this guy is making pass breakups and big plays on special teams. So Kevin Knowles is a guy that I'm kind of excited about. And over the final 3 weeks, let's see what he can do. And he's a player for sure, especially on special teams, maybe defense as well. Keep an eye on him in the offseason.
And this is where the Titan game is, and I'm glad you brought Knowles up. This is where the Titan game is a real test for him. And here's why. Chamari DK, their rookie out of Florida, who started at Wisconsin, has 2 punt returns for touchdowns. He's shown some electric play, especially on special teams. In fact, one of the things where the Titans grade well is they have 4 non-offensive scores, which is 3rd in the league. But DK's for real.
Yeah.
And so Kevin's going to get a shot at what he got against this guy. Mm-hmm. So it's a real world thing. We'll close with this guy, and then we're going to get to Ari in a second. We didn't go around the world, did we?
No, I have 2 for you.
Okay,
we were locked in, though.
Joshua Williams. We'll close with around the world. We've held you this long.
Yeah.
You've been waiting because you always just jump off if you don't get mentioned around the world. And it's Jalen Royals. Like we were so excited about him at camp and looking at him in the OTAs. In fact, all these guys we were watching in OTAs and we were excited about.
Yep.
All of them. Okay. But Royals only played 35 snaps. He's played 4 games, 0 targets, 0 catches. And what does he do on special teams? He's going to get a shot here over the next 3 weeks. And going back to Matt's point about 5 paragraphs ago or 6 is the fact that this is a real-world chance for Jalen to see what he can do. Remember the 30-yard kickoff return against Baltimore. And we're thinking, all right, this is what we've seen. Now will we see it again? So that's with Jalen Royals. Now, he's undaunted. You already mentioned about Ari having the same mindset, but our spy now turns his, for spies, missions change.
They do, yeah.
All the time. And now the mission for Ari is 2026.
Yes.
We're moving you, buddy. We're moving you. So don't blow your cover.
Yeah, caught up with Ari earlier this week, talking about stuff going on in the NFL, but also talking about our current situation. Take a listen.
Hello to everyone, and welcome to Out West with Ari Wolfe for Week 16. As always, joined by my friend, Matt McMullen. And Matt, look, we could dive right into the AFC West like we normally do, but I think we can all acknowledge that this week is different than any week you've experienced during your tenure with the Chiefs. So I'm just curious, how are you doing? And I know that we're taught in journalism, it's always about the subject, right? It's about the team, it's about the organization, but we're human beings too. I was just curious how it's been the last couple of days as you kind of come to terms with the fact that there won't be another Super Bowl run this year.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I think that's the perfect way to put it. It's been strange kind of coming to terms with it because, especially thinking about when this team was 5-3 around Halloween and playing really good football, I truly had full confidence we were going to go on a run. I really believed it. And unfortunately, the reality is sometimes it's just not your year. And a lot of things have stacked up against us this year, whether that be circumstances, injuries, crazy travel schedules, a lot of close games. I mean, losing 5 games by a field goal, it's nuts. But these things happen, and the NFL is designed for things like this to happen. And I've kind of flipped my brain at this point to the opportunity that's in front of us. And that's something that Mitch and I have been talking about, where, yes, this was not fun. This year, especially the last month and a half, has been very difficult
Right.
and not what I at all expected. And you couple that with the Mahomes injury, just devastated for him. I mean, the ultimate warrior trying to do everything he can to help us win,
Yeah.
even if there's like a slim chance of it mattering in the end. And he does everything he can. And for him to get hurt, just a huge bummer. But he's going to power through his rehab. He's going to attack his rehab. I am certain he is not feeling sorry for himself or sorry for the Chiefs. And we shouldn't either. I think, how do we get back to the mountaintop? It's about attacking this thing right now and making this team the best team it can be for next season right now. And that's about, looking at this Titans game. I get it doesn't matter in the standings really, but let's evaluate some young players. Let's see what some players on this team can do that maybe can help us moving forward. That's where my whole head is at right now, is the opportunity in front of us. And not quite how I expected to spend the second half of December and January, but in a way, I'm excited about the future and what this team can achieve moving forward because of the opportunity that we have now. So I'm bummed out. I mean, this is not at all what I thought the season would be, but it's not about this year anymore, in my opinion. It's about how can we get back to where we were, and that process, I think, begins right now.
Well, that's a remarkably mature perspective, and I think it's probably really good for Chiefs Kingdom to hear that from you, because I think it's okay to grieve a little bit. I think it's okay to be disappointed. I think it's okay to be sad, because then you could step back and look at the bigger picture, not only this incredible run of success and one of the true dynasties the NFL's ever had, but this could be an inflection point where you're mid-dynasty and all of a sudden you could be picking around 10 or 11 or 12 and a real opportunity to build through the draft and get a marquee player in the first round. So, I think with anything, right, it's perspective. I mentioned this Charles Swindoll attitudes thing. The Chiefs can look at this as, well, it's 10% of what's happened to them. Well, now it's 90% of how you choose to react to it and the perspective that you have. So I think your perspective is great, but I really believe there is opportunity here. It is so rare for an elite team to be able to have a higher draft pick through multiple rounds. So I really do think that, with Brett Veach and their outstanding scouting department, look at this as sort of a one-year blip and a chance to reload and recalibrate moving forward. All right, So I wanted to start the show just kind of acknowledging where we are, but now let's get to what this has been about through the season, and that's the AFC West. And the Denver Broncos put on arguably their best performance of the season against a very good Green Bay Packers team. They win the game 34-26. You could make a case that it was Bo Nix's best game. He outplays Jordan Love. And I think all season long, we've been wondering, are the Broncos for real? Well, this game, more than any game, to me, acknowledges that they are actually a Super Bowl contender. And I know that you guys had a lot going on. I'm sure Sunday was a tough day, but I'm sure you've had a chance to sort of digest what happened between the Packers and the Broncos. And what'd you come away thinking about the Broncos after Sunday?
Yeah, I was impressed. I agree that I think that was probably their best win of the year to this point, just because they have this narrative around them where they're winning all these close one-score games. And that's true. I wrote it down here. They've won 6 straight games by a single score, and they're 10-2 in one-score games this year. Contrast that with us this year. I think we're 1-7 in one-score games. We haven't lost by more than 10 all season long. But, the ball bounces a certain way, and it's been that way for Denver this year, where they're winning these games like we did last year, and they deserve credit for that. But also, I think this Packers game wasn't a game that a few things happened and it just worked out for them. I mean, they were down 23-14 in the second half to a Packers team that's really good, really competitive, and fighting for a playoff spot. And to the Broncos' credit, they found a way to take control of that game. They didn't let the Packers add to their lead, and they actually outscored the Packers the rest of the way. So I think the Broncos deserve credit for that. They're still living kind of dangerously, and
Yep.
You never know in the postseason, can you continue that? The Chiefs made a living doing that for a long time. But I was impressed with Nix throwing for over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns, impressed with the Broncos overall, and they will be a tough out. I mean, at this point, I think they're going to be the 1 seed, and I didn't think I'd be saying that when the season began, but heck of a season for them, and let's see what they do with it.
It really the game changed on one play to me. It was the Patrick Surtain, the second interception, because the Packers are up 23-14 with the ball, taking a deep shot down the field. All of a sudden Denver gets the ball back, and from there the game completely flipped. We always talk about in the NFL, one play can change a game. Well, Surtain there, the reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year, made the play the Broncos had to have. If you're an elite team, your best players have to make the most important plays in the biggest games, and Surtain delivers. And boy, I mean, the Broncos have now won 11 straight. They are no longer in a tie for the number one seed. They are the number one seed. I give a lot of credit to Sean Payton because I started this podcast in week 3 with you. And one of the first things I said is Sean Payton put his team under unnecessary pressure, calling them an elite team, a Super Bowl contender. It was literally like my final thought the first week was, what is Sean Payton doing? Well, Sean, congratulations. You got yourself a great team, and they are a true Super Bowl contender. Well, because you will have already talked about the Chiefs and the Chargers game, let's just do a little nugget here on the Raiders. The Raiders get shut out 31-0. I'm becoming increasingly clear in my mind that Pete Carroll is going to be one and done. Their offense was anemic. They had 75 yards of offense. Remember, they beat New England week 1 in New England. It's kind of hard to believe how bad the Raiders have gotten. He's fired multiple coordinators. Do you think Pete Carroll will be the coach of the Raiders next season?
It's a good question. If he is, it's because he has the track record of being a Super Bowl winning coach and one of the most accomplished coaches of the 21st century. But this season has been tough for them. I think about our situation and losing all these close games and how gut-wrenching that's been. I mean, the Raiders have just been completely not even in a lot of games this year, being shut out multiple times. In the NFL, that doesn't happen. And that was a frustration win for the Eagles. They just took out 3 weeks of frustration out on the Raiders. And yeah, I mean, the thing is the Raiders, they have some talent, with Genty and obviously Bowers, but they got to get the quarterback situation figured out. And I think they were under the impression Geno would be kind of like a bridge for them. And I know Geno's been hurt, but just didn't work. Pickett is not the guy. They got to figure out their quarterback situation, and we'll see what they do in the draft this year. But just a nightmare season for them all around, where you never want to be not competitive. And that's where they are. Is they're not competitive right now. And what's going to be interesting is week 18. We're going to go to Vegas and see those guys for the last game of the year. But maybe Vegas will be playing for more than we expect because a lot of coaches likely trying to keep their jobs.
Yeah, and it's also interesting. Look, in the NFL, every coach is going to tell you you play to win the games, right? But draft position is significant. I mean, I remember years ago during Doug Peterson's final year, they had a meaningless game in the final week of the regular season, and they essentially tanked it and took a lot of criticism. But their draft position improved, and they ended up getting Jalen Carter added. So, it is something that's interesting to watch, whereas the Raiders have looked like they've been non-competitive. All the non-playoff teams, you learn a lot about your team during the most tough times. And one thing I can promise you about an Andy Reid coach team is they're going to play to win the game. I don't care whether it's preseason, whatever it is. But it is interesting to look at draft position, right? Because that's immediately where your mind turns. When you don't make the playoffs, it's all right, what's the next chance to improve our football team? And the draft is the next thing. So I want to move to something that hasn't happened, I think, for us all season, where I predict what I think is going to be the best game of the week, and then it actually is the best game of the week. In this case, it was the Bills and the Patriots. We thought it had a chance to be great. The Patriots were up 21-0. I thought we were really seeing the changing of the guard in the AFC East. I thought that this is it. They're going to blow out the Bills. The Bills are going to wonder what they're all about. The Patriots are the new kings of the AFC East, but wow. Josh Allen and the Bills come roaring back. I mean, Allen's quarterback numbers, 123 quarterback rating, 3 touchdowns. May look pretty pedestrian. No touchdown passes, an interception, a quarterback rating of just under 63. New England led 24-7 from there. Buffalo outscores them 28-7. This seemed like a huge statement win, and to me, it pushes the Bills now to me as a true Super Bowl contender. For a while there, I think I wasn't sold on them, but I think that they're starting to find their best football at this time of year. What were your takeaways from the Bills and the Patriots?
Yeah, what an inflection point that game was for the AFC East, and maybe not even
Right.
this season alone, like for the trajectory of these two franchises and who's going
Mhm.
to own this division moving forward. Because when it's 21-0 and Gillette is rocking, it's like, are we seeing a changing of the guard here in the AFC East
Yep.
where the Bills obviously are going to continue to be competitive, but are the Patriots like making a statement here? Like, not only are they going to win, they're going to win
Right.
dominantly. And then the Bills just rattle off 5 straight touchdown drives and take the lead. I mean, the Bills, no surprise here, but they remind me so much of the Chiefs over the years where you can have them down, but they're never out of it. And in the
Right.
blink of an eye, you can be like, what happened? Like, we were winning by 3 touchdowns, and now all of a sudden, the Bills are winning. Incredible game for them. Super important for Buffalo. I think more important for Buffalo than it was for New England personally, because New England, to me, is still ahead of schedule, and they're
Yeah.
out there and they're playing really good football. They're still a great shot at winning that division. But for Buffalo, this was critical. You cannot get swept by New England in a season where New England is controlling the division all year long, and maybe Buffalo's best shot at getting to the Super Bowl in a long time with no Burrow in the playoffs, no Mahomes in the playoffs. We'll see if Lamar Jackson even makes it in the playoffs. And you don't win your own division. Like, this is your chance. This is your opportunity. And for them to win that game the way that they did, and they have a real shot at winning the AFC East now, which is crazy. They could even somehow get to the 1 seed, I think, if things went haywire for Denver. So huge win for Buffalo, and curious to see how they follow that up, because New England's playing Baltimore in Baltimore next week. And how do they respond to losing a game like that to Buffalo? I don't know, but the Bills could win that division, which if I said that 3 weeks ago, I think people would say I was crazy.
Well, all right. So I want to follow up with that. So remaining for the Patriots are against the Ravens on Sunday night, at the Jets, and then home versus the Dolphins. A Dolphins team that looked very unhappy playing in cold weather in Pittsburgh on Monday night. By
Yes.
the way, for all of you people, you look at warm weather teams that are out of the playoffs going to really cold spots the last couple of weeks. I can promise you, watch their sideline in the second half. I've been watching this my whole NFL fandom. It always shows itself. A non-playoff team playing in the snow and the cold looks just miserable. So I sort of think that the Ravens game is the most important game for the Patriots, not just because it's up next, but if they were to somehow lose that game, I think the Bills win at Cleveland, then they've got Philly at home and then the Jets at home. Very good chance the Bills win out. So the Patriots right now are 6-3 conference record, Buffalo 7-3. So they could end up at a tie, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. I think it would be for New England. It will not feel good to not win the division given the size lead that they had, but it's definitely a super fun race. AFC West Week 16 games. You mentioned the Chiefs and the Titans. I think it's a great opportunity to look at a bunch of players. The one area where I wish that there was like a young quarterback that could just use to see how good he is, because one thing I've noticed in Philadelphia is they often get good value for their backup quarterbacks, and then they develop them. The theory with the Chiefs has always been to have a veteran backup, and I think Minshew could help them win the next 3 games. But it's the one time a year where if you have a young quarterback on the roster, it is fun to take a look at them. We've got the Chargers and the Cowboys. The Cowboys went from being like the hottest team in the league to suddenly their defense looked terrible. They did not look good against the Vikings. I'm suddenly a little bit more bullish on the Chargers than I've been. What's your take on the Chargers and the Cowboys?
Yeah. I think maybe this is where the game is so recent. Maybe my emotions are caught up in it a little bit. I would love for the Cowboys to win this game. That's how I feel. And I think the
Yeah.
Cowboys generally, weird game against the Vikings, but they're still talented. I think it's a great matchup between the Charger defense and that Cowboy offense. Question is, can the Cowboy defense kind of rebound a little bit from where they were previously? Because I think when they got Quinn Williams, when they got some players back from injury, we saw that they were playing a lot better football. Last week, not so much. Playing a Charger offense that remains decimated up front. I mean, the Chargers scored 16 points against us. It's not like they lit up the scoreboard, right? So we'll see if the Cowboy defense can bounce back a little bit. But I think I like the Cowboys in this game. Chargers need to keep winning to keep in the playoff hunt, but I think I like the Cowboys in a bounce back game at home. But we'll see.
One thing I want to mention about George Pickens, because a couple of weeks ago I was talking about he really is one of the top receivers when he's fully engaged, but he's not fully engaged. I'm very curious how much money he's going to get and what level of commitment he's going to get as a free agent because when he's not engaged, his body language and his effort is suspect at best. And they put a little montage together of recent plays in games where you can just tell he's not going 100%. So if you're going to pay a guy elite wide receiver one money, like top shelf elite money, you certainly expect that guy to go all out on every play. So I feel like the Cowboys offense is amazing when George Pickens gets touches early and he's into the game. But boy, there is a range of play from Pickens, which makes me wonder who's going to give him a huge long-term contract because his effort is not consistent. I'm curious what you think about George Pickens.
Well, I think when he is locked in and when he's playing well, he's among the best receivers in football. We saw what he did against us a couple weeks ago on Thanksgiving. That third down conversion, the quick slant that he turned into like a 40-yard gain, he's a beast. I mean, he's one of the most talented players in football. But as we've seen over the years, you also need to be fully engaged, right? And I don't watch enough Cowboys football or enough of George Pickens to have a fully developed opinion on this, I think. But I think he has the potential to be one of the best players in football. Just a matter of doing that consistently. And developing that consistency is what great players do. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I think he's going to get a bunch of money in the offseason. And I think I think the Cowboys
bags of money. But look, he kind of wore out his welcome in Pittsburgh. So I'm just curious when this Cowboys season is over, will they look back and only see the production and Jerry Jones is going to open up the bank? Are they going to be like, wow, actually being with him day after day, maybe, his value on the field is not amplified by what he is like off the field. So I'm just curious. He's like one of those enigmas. I mean, he's not TO level, but like he's a guy who like at his best can be both a great teammate and a great player. But I just wish that he'd grow up a little bit because being a true elite player in the league requires consistency. Next up, what I think is one of the most interesting games of the week is the Jaguars, warm weather team, going to Denver. They're getting lucky. The forecast in Denver is a high of 49, a low of 33, no precipitation. The Jaguars now have to be given a level of respect that I've been reluctant to give them, right? Trevor Lawrence coming off of one of his best games. Clearly, the Broncos have been maintaining a pretty high level of energy throughout this 11-game winning streak. But, you just beat the Packers, and now all of a sudden you have the Jaguars. It's a little less sexy, but it is a huge game for both teams. Can Trevor Lawrence replicate his recent success, or will the Denver defense be too much for Lawrence?
What I find myself thinking about this game, because, we're talking about the opportunity we're looking forward to. That is all true. But also this week, I am thinking a little bit about this season and how things could have gone differently. I'm thinking about how we had the lead against both of these teams in the fourth quarter in their stadiums and unfortunately lost both of those games. But here they are playing each other and jockeying for playoff position. Two teams that are going to win their divisions, I think. Jacksonville is interesting because, like you said, they're playing really good football right now. And I think they were winning in spite of Trevor Lawrence to begin the year. And lately, It seems like they've been winning because of Trevor Lawrence. It's a really good Broncos defense, though, and I think that'll be a big test for him. I think this is a low-scoring game, and the Broncos will probably win on some crazy play toward the end. Like, I think Knicks will get picked off by one of the Jags DBs, and they'll fumble it or something, and then the Broncos will pick it up and score a touchdown or something like that. I think this will be a one-score win for Denver because that's what they've done all year long, and I think it's tough for Jacksonville going on the road, playing a very good Broncos defense. Tough task for them. I think the Broncos win it, but we'll see how Denver responds to having a big win over Green Bay and being in the driver's seat now for this one seed. I mean, it is theirs to lose. How do they respond to that? We'll find out.
All right, the last AFC West team playing, it's the Raiders against the Texans. It's hard. I'm not going to try to do any kind of way to think of how the Raiders can win. It's more like, can the Raiders have 100 yards of offense? This Texans team has been peaking at the right time. They are going to be a very dangerous playoff team with their defense. You don't even need to comment on that game. I think we all know what's going to happen there. The Texans are going to win. So there are two games coming up this week that I don't think that I would have predicted would be such interesting games. First, The 10-4 49ers going to play the Colts at 8-6. Now, the Niners, to me, I haven't bought in. I mean, they could end up being the 1 seed. It's that crazy, right? This is a critical game. The Colts last week, they played well enough to win. I love the game plan. And look, I'm older than you. The Phillip Rivers thing, like, I wasn't a Phillip Rivers guy. I've never been a Chargers fan, but I couldn't take my eyes off the game. Like, I just wanted to see what it looked like. And look, the ball didn't get there as fast. The game plan was tailor-made so that he wasn't really exposed. But man, their offensive line did an amazing job. He got the ball out on time. Look, I think he only threw for like 120 yards, but he played well enough for them to win. It's just a game that when I saw it on the schedule this late in the year on Monday night, I'm like, who's making the schedule? Why are we watching the 49ers and the Colts? It's a pretty compelling game, right? I mean, it's the kind of game that I'm definitely going to watch. What do you think about this matchup between, a team in the Colts that we thought were locks to make the playoffs halfway through, a Niner team that was so decimated by injury, we assumed they would make it, and they're in the running for the top seed. It kind of makes for a fun Monday night game.
A lot to talk about here. The Rivers thing is nuts. The fact that he could go out there, I don't care if the scheme was designed to kind of protect him a little bit. He still went out there after not playing for years as a 44-year-old. Is that right?
Yes.
And against one of the best defenses in football and did a pretty good job. Gave his team a chance to win. I mean, it's incredible. And it says so much about him as like a competitor and the shape that he kept himself in. Even just to go out there and to mentally process, because defenses look a lot different now than they did back in 2020. It's not as simple as you just show up and, draw some lines in the dirt. I mean, this is really hard, complicated stuff. And for him to go in there and to not be a total disaster, I think is impressive. And he was beyond that. He gave them a chance to win. So good for him. I think it's cool. I think it's cool that he did that. I always respected Phillip Rivers. Like, I didn't like playing against him. I didn't like losing to him. But it's kind of like a Josh Allen thing where it's like, I respect that guy a lot, even though he's really good and he might be beating my team. Big game for them, though, against the 49ers. I mean, they have to win to try to stay in this playoff hunt because, Houston playing the Raiders, it's just really difficult right now for Indy. And, I feel for them considering how their season began and where it's likely going to end at this point. But Rivers makes it compelling. And then on the flip side, the 49ers, I don't know how they've done this. They've lost just about every household name they have on their team for either the whole season or a duration of time, and they've managed to stay afloat despite playing in what I think is the toughest division in football this year. I don't know how they've done it, but they've figured it out, and they're right there. But it's pretty nuts looking at the playoff picture because, I mean, San Francisco is 10-4 and still kind of fighting for a playoff spot. I mean, they're third place in their own division at 10-4. It's nuts.
But, knowing that the Rams and Seahawks are playing right on Thursday night, so one of them is going to get a loss, right? So, is Devontae Adams going to play? Is his hamstring injury more of a long-term thing? I mean, there is a scenario, given the 49ers schedule, where they could win out and they could actually be the top seed. So it's just wild. The other game I want to touch on, we mentioned it briefly, the Patriots going to the Ravens would not have been a game that I would have circled at the beginning of the year. And I just wonder how the Patriots are going to react to the adversity of having blown that 21-point lead. And then going to a Baltimore team that is desperate, right? Because the Steelers suddenly look revived, right? I mean, the Steelers have won 2 in a row. The way they beat Miami on Monday night was really impressive. Aaron Rodgers is playing his best football of the season. This feels like an absolute must-win for the Ravens, even though they get to play the Steelers one more time. If they fall to 7-8 and the Steelers win again, it's not going to happen for the Ravens, even if they beat the Steelers in their next head-to-head meeting. So I feel like this game is so meaningful for both teams in very different ways. The Patriots could end up blowing a big division lead, and the Ravens might miss the playoffs. So what are you thinking here? Drake May, Lamar Jackson.
This is why the NFL is the best, because it doesn't matter what's happened all season long. This game matters a lot for both teams. And the Patriots, it's amazing how they were feeling when they were up 21-0 over Buffalo. It's like, we're going to blow out the Bills. We're going to win this division, and we're going to keep pace with Denver for the 1 seed. And then Josh Allen leads the comeback. And now today they're thinking, like, we have to beat a desperate Ravens team on the road in primetime to have a shot at the 1 seed and to hang on to our division lead. It's amazing. Yeah. It's incredible drama. And the thing with the Ravens is I haven't had a chance to watch them a lot because they've been playing at the same time as us over the last couple of weeks, especially since Lamar came back. I know like their numbers aren't very impressive. And I guess big win over the Bengals last week, but generally speaking, I just cannot count them out because it's Lamar Jackson. And we're going to learn a lot about this Patriots team, like you were talking about, where you're a young team that's defying expectations, but now you've been punched in the mouth and you have a must-win game on the road against a team that's kind of been there and done that in terms of played in big games and been in the playoffs. It's exciting to see what we're going to learn about this Patriots team. And if they can handle it and if they can beat the Ravens and what's essentially a playoff game for Baltimore, it says a lot about this Patriots team moving forward. But it's interesting, looking at the Steelers schedule in regard to the Ravens, they have the Lions this week at Detroit, and Detroit kind of inexplicably playing for their playoff lives. So
totally, they're on the outside looking in.
This division's fascinating for a lot of reasons, and curious who makes it in. If the Ravens can make it in, it's the same way I felt about the Chiefs until we were eliminated. Like if the Ravens can make it in, I think they have a great shot of making some noise, but they got to get there, and it won't be easy.
Well, I always qualify the Lamar Jackson remarks because, frankly, he's not been a great postseason quarterback. He's been electric in the regular season, but, the Ravens don't have many signature postseason wins since he's gotten there. Yes, if he gets in, it is Lamar Jackson, but he has not been the physical player that he was before. He's not running away from people. He's not doing crazy scrambles and then making big plays. He's clearly dealing with injuries. He does not look like Lamar Jackson normally looks. So I'm actually discounting them. I think while the Steelers have the tougher schedule, right now the Steelers are playing better. They've got momentum. I realize everything can change in a week, but I think the Ravens are in real danger of not making the playoffs. So for my final thought this week, there were a lot of different ways I was going to go. I was going to do the Brady Mahomes timeline of the ACL injury. And I realize so many people are talking about the similarities are there. I think the science is even better now. I expect Mahomes to be back sooner than people think. Maybe not week 1, but I expect by October 1st, he'll be the starting quarterback. So I think it's sort of like my worst case scenario is him missing the first month, but I feel like that's going to be really talked about. My thought that one of my biggest takeaways from this season is the changing in the kicking game. Now, what they've allowed the teams to do, for people who don't know, is the kickers now have their own balls and they can work those footballs. It used to be they just came out of the package, right? And then you kicked with them. Well, now what's happened is it's made kicking so much easier. And maybe some fans love it that you get to midfield and you're in field goal range. Really, that is a huge change from what the NFL has been during my lifetime. And, I'm going to harken back to the Colts-Seahawks game the other day. So the Colts are at the 47-yard line of the Seahawks with like a 3rd and 7. I figured this is 2-down territory, right? Well, actually, they run the ball, pick up 4 yards, and then their kicker casually makes a 60-yarder. And then coming back, Seattle now, like if you get the ball at the 30, you really only need like 20, 25 yards to be in field goal range. I feel like it's really hurt defenses around the league. So I'm not suggesting I'm on one side or another, but I think it's something that everyone needs to talk about. Is this what we want the NFL to look like, where you can make a 65-yard field goal and it's a routine event? I don't know if that's good for our sport. Maybe it is because people love, but when the 13-second game, right? When Mahomes got him in field goal range, like that wasn't a 65-yard kick, right? And they had to go a significant distance to get themselves set up for Butker, to push that game into overtime. So I'm just curious your take. Like, what do we want the NFL to look like in the kicking game? Do we want it to be where you literally get the ball to just midfield and you have a chance to make a field goal at the end of the game? I don't know. That doesn't seem to me to be fair to the defense, but I'm open to having a conversation about it. But I really do think that the NFL owners need to have a conversation about what do we want the kicking game to look like moving forward. I'm curious what you think.
Well, you have a lot of background with the Arena League. Do we need to shrink the goalposts, make it tighter?
I just don't think that we want kicking to be this easy, right? Right. The goalposts in the Arena League are half. That seems extreme. But, could you, because the hash marks line up in the pro game. So college kicking is harder because the hash marks are outside. So many times you actually have to angle your kick. NFL kickers, if you just kick it dead straight from either hash, it's going to go in.
Yeah.
So I just think that the kicking's gotten too easy. These guys have gotten so good. I don't know, it just doesn't seem right that you take the lead with 30 seconds left to go in the game and you actually don't feel good about it. Because you
Yeah.
know if they just simply, especially if you're playing the Cowboys or Jacksonville, those guys could make it from 70 yards. So you actually don't even need to get to midfield. You can get to your own 47-yard line and have a chance to win the game. That doesn't seem right to me. What do you
Yeah.
think?
Well, what I think is tricky is when you pair how good kickers are now with the new kickoff rules. So it happened to us this year where we took the lead over Jacksonville with less than 2 minutes left, but I guess the kick went out of bounds in our case, so it went to the 40. That was our fault. But because you can't just kick a touchback and it goes to like the 20 like it used to, because you want the kickoffs to be more engaging, well, at minimum, the opponent's probably starting at like the 35 and probably better than that to where they only need a couple first downs. And to your point, they're in field goal range.
One.
Yeah.
One first down for some of these kickers if you get it at the 35s. It's just so foreign to me that this is where kicking has gone to. It just seems that changing the football and how it's used during the week has had a much more dramatic effect because they've never done it before than I anticipated. Is actually between, like, I agree, the kickoff rule paired with them tailing the ball for the kickers has really just changed special teams completely.
Yeah, it has. And I think I talked about this earlier this year, but there has to be a point where kickers can't keep getting better, right? I mean,
I don't know.
it's like with the 40-yard dash. I always talk about that where someone sets a new 40-yard dash record at the combine every couple of years. Well, eventually, like human anatomy doesn't make something possible. Like, what is the breaking point for kickers? Like, what will be in 20 years? How long will these field goals be? Like 89 yards? I just don't get where the point is where you can't do it anymore. I guess we'll find out one day.
Yeah, so that's it for my final take. What is your final thought for today's episode?
Yeah, well, this is something that we kind of talked about at the beginning of our bid, and Mitch and I have been talking about too. What right now kind of reminds me of, and it's not quite apples to apples, but it is similar, is 2022 in the offseason when we're coming off a devastating loss to Cincinnati in the AFC Championship game. And in March, we traded Tyreek to the Dolphins. And it's funny looking back on that now because of everything that's happened. But that day was a tough day. I remember that. It felt like a tough day where you're saying goodbye to a future Hall of Famer, to a franchise legend, to a player who has been so important to this team for so long. And you wonder, what are we going to do now? Is this window closing? And I remember talking with Mitch that day about him and I both thinking this, this is a tough day. Things are going to change and be different, but what an opportunity we have in front of us. We're a team that's in the middle of a generational run with the greatest player in our sport in Patrick Mahomes. And we have an opportunity to use these draft picks that we got for Tyreek and this extra money we have and all that to set us up for the next run. Can we take advantage of that? And it's pretty incredible to see what happened, where not only did they take advantage of it, they went to 3 straight Super Bowls and won 2 of them. And the pieces that allowed that to take place were, yes, Mahomes and Chris Jones and all those guys, but also the players that you got because of the move, where you don't get George Karlaftis and Trent McDuffie and Jalen Watson and Isaiah Pacheco. Who knows if you get all those guys if you don't make the move? So that was an opportunity the Chiefs seized. And actually, they came out better in terms of the Super Bowls and the success than they were going into it. So again, it's not quite apples to apples with the situation. We didn't just trade a player and get a haul of draft picks, but what we're dealing with right now is a season that we all acknowledge is not at all what we expected, and it's been disappointing and a bummer. But the Chiefs are going to end up with a super high draft pick, and we're going to have an opportunity here to extend this even further. So to those that talk about like the Chiefs run being over, I mean, Patrick Mahomes exists. Coach Reed exists. These people that have made this run what it is are still here. And we actually have an opportunity to set ourselves up now for a run of success that, who knows, could be equal to or even greater than what we've enjoyed over the last 3 seasons. So got to go do it. Nothing is given, but there is an amazing opportunity in front of the Chiefs. And even though it's not quite the same, I think we've seen how they've responded to a similar opportunity in the past, and they have succeeded magnificently. So that's what I'm excited about moving forward. And I remember how I felt that day when we traded Tyreek, and I'll remember how I felt on Sunday when I'm walking out of the stadium and thinking like, man, that hurts. But I talked about this with Mitch on Rewind. I remember Mahomes after the 2018 AFC Championship game where we got so close to getting back to the Super Bowl. And his words were, it hurts because it's supposed to hurt.
Yeah.
But he wasn't feeling sorry for himself the next day after that game. He was getting to work. And what did he do? Led us to the Super Bowl the very next year, led us to 3 Super Bowls over the next 5 years. Let's seize this opportunity like everyone in this building has done time and time again. And let's get back to being on the mountaintop. That's my final thought today.
And I'll just tag it with, we're always comparing Mahomes to Brady, right? Because Brady is the GOAT. And really, he's the measuring stick for all great quarterbacks. Well, right at the exact, very similar in age when they had the ACL injury, Brady went on to win 3 more. So the future is bright for the Chiefs. It's okay, as I said earlier, to grieve and to be sad and to be bummed, but I would hope these next 3 games, as a true fan, you can kind of relax and just enjoy it, right? Because it doesn't have the pressure cooker feeling anymore.
Yeah.
Hopefully the guys can go out and play loose, play fast, and just kind of enjoy football because it's the greatest game in the world. Well, that's going to do it for the podcast within the podcast this week. Out West with Ari Wolfe. Big thanks to you, Matt. And that will do it. And I hope everyone enjoys the game this week. Go get a win against the Titans.
Well, thanks, Ari. The mission's changed, but he's on it. He's on it. So our lead scout or spy, if you will. We usually start with Around the World. You've waited a half hour. What do we have? How many you got? 2 for Joshua Williams.
2 today. So shout out to Kruger. Kind of a cool name.
Just one name? Just Kruger?
Just Kruger.
It's like Preki?
Just Kruger. That's his name.
Messi?
It's like exactly like European soccer players. Yeah, just Kruger.
Kruger.
That's the name on the back of the jersey.
What up, Kruger?
So Ellie and I went to the Oak Park Mall last week. We had kind of a weird eclectic day last week. It's one of those things where before big games, I always do this where, all the prep is done. I am ready and prepared for the game, and I just almost need to distract myself. Like, I don't want to sit there and watch 12 hours of football coverage on a Saturday before a Chiefs game that's really important, and there was no, college football on besides the Army-Navy game. So anyway, I watched that. But then after that, we were all around town. We went to Oak Park Mall, and we were walking around, and Kruger came up and said hi. So shout out to you, Kruger.
Kruger, nice. One name.
Yep, just one
Pretty
name.
Cool.
Then also shout out to Patrick. Not that Patrick, a different Patrick. I met Patrick in the elevator on game day, and he said that he enjoys listening to our stuff. So shout out to you, Patrick. I'm sorry the game was not fun, but I hope you had a good time regardless before the stuff at the end happened, and hopefully I'll see you again sometime on a better day.
And I'll mention the international people that come to the Kingdom Show after a home game.
Yeah.
Petra, we mentioned her from Deutschland. She stayed over for another home game and came to the Kingdom Show. But this was Dimitri this time from London.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so
Very
we got
cool.
a little UK coming back on it. A couple guys from Jersey hung over. So it's become a thing. Go to the game, hang out the Kingdom Show, and then fly out Tuesday.
Yeah.
All right.
You'll get people from Luxembourg and Taiwan and everywhere before you know it.
We'll see you at a game and at the Chiefs Kingdom Show. Okay. You got something you want to close with?
Yeah. So on, I think it was Monday, rather than doing my normal Monday, which is quickly recapping the game that just happened.
Wasn't a great day for us.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't, if we're being honest. It's kind of like what Ari and I talked about. Like, Mitch and I live and feel this like everyone else does. And if I'm being totally honest, I think Sunday was the toughest day for this franchise in probably about 10 years. Mm-hmm. You are eliminated from the playoffs with 3 games to go. That hasn't happened in a long, long time. You lose a game that I felt like we should have won, which unfortunately has been the story of the season. Another 3-point loss, another 1-score loss. But then losing Mahomes, who is the ultimate warrior. And the thing with Mahomes, you can just never question how much he wants it. You can look at different pro athletes in different sports, even the greatest ones, and say, I can tell, maybe he's not going 100%. What I love about Patrick is he is 100% in every single second of the time. And I'll tell you what, even if we had lost that game and he hadn't gotten hurt, he would be game planning, getting ready like crazy to beat the Titans. Like he wouldn't be like, oh, I'm going to take the rest of the year off. He would be wanting to win the final 3 games. He is the ultimate gamer, the ultimate warrior, the ultimate representative for our team and for our city and for our region. And it breaks my heart what happened to him. And, we heard from Rick Burkholder today. It sounds like all things considered with already having the ACL, LCL, no other damage beyond that. And he was rehabbing on Tuesday already. So he's attacking this thing, and he's getting after it. With all that being said, Monday was a tough day, and instead of flipping the page and preparing for the Titans, I was thinking about this moment in history for the Chiefs. And a lot of people who are sick and tired of the Chiefs beating their team in the playoffs are celebrating the end of the Chiefs.
Oh,
right?
yeah. We've seen them on social media. Thank you. It really helps us.
Yeah. They're celebrating that.
Appreciate it.
We've been talking for the last hour or so about how this is not the end for the Chiefs. It's the beginning of a new opportunity. And it has me thinking about a phone call that you and I had in 2021 where, of course, we had lost to the Bengals in just heartbreaking fashion in the AFC Championship game. And then we traded Tyreek. And you and I were on the phone kind of talking about how are we going to attack the next few weeks, the next few months. And the words that came out of your mouth were, what a great opportunity this is. As daunting, as challenging as this feels, what a great opportunity. And you were right. Like, this is the end of this particular part of the Chiefs' run where Tyreek got traded. But we have a great opportunity in front of us to maybe come out better on the other end. And look what happened. We go to 3 straight Super Bowls. We win 2 of them because we took advantage of that opportunity. Well, we have another opportunity in front of us now. And this is my long-winded way of getting to this. I looked up some other great dynasties in sports history and how they handled moments like this. Well, here's a handful. So the Miami Heat went to 4 straight NBA Finals from 2010 through 2013. They were going for the three-peat in 2013, but they lost. They missed the playoffs the next year, but they were back in the playoffs the following season. The 49ers went to the playoffs 15 times in 16 seasons from 1983 through 1998, winning 4 Super Bowls. Well, after winning back-to-back Super Bowls in 1988 and 89, they came up just short in their quest for a three-peat in 1990, and they missed the playoffs in 1991. They were back in the conference title game a year later. The Dallas Cowboys went to the playoffs 6 straight years, winning 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. Then they missed the playoffs in 1997, going 6-10. And Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, and Michael Irvin played in all 16 games in that season. Their season actually kind of looks like ours. They were 6-5 at one point and then lost their final 5 games. Well, they rebounded to make the playoffs the next year. Just a couple more. The Red Sox won at least 90 games 7 times in 8 seasons from 2002 through 2009, winning the World Series twice. They won just 86 games, though, in 2006, missed the playoffs entirely, but then won the World Series the next year. And the one that I relate to the most, the one that I think could be this Chiefs team, the Golden State Warriors, went to 5 straight NBA Finals from 2014 through 2018. They won back-to-back titles in 2016 and 17 before losing in 2018. And in 2019, they went 15-50. Now, Steph Curry was out most of that season, but that's a circumstance, right? The Chiefs have dealt with a lot of circumstances this year. What did the Warriors do? They bounced back to have a winning record the following season, and they win the finals again in 2021. So this is a crossroads moment once again for the Chiefs that we've faced before. We've seen it throughout history where teams have these incredible runs of success, and they hit like an inflection point. And these teams that I listed, they seized that opportunity, and it wasn't the end for any of these dynasties. We all recognize these as great dynasties, right? They continued on because the team took advantage of the opportunity in front of them, and they figured it out, and they were back on the top in no time. That's the goal for the Chiefs here moving forward, and that's what I'm fired up about.
Yeah, my Surface is messing up here. Just let me turn it off and see if it comes back on. Oh, it's working.
How about that?
It says, okay, it's Minshew, it's Music City, it's motivation, it's a reboot, it's a recharge. Let's go. It also says beat Tennessee.